Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are bringing back the breakdown series. In this series I basically show you the step-by-step processes that I take in making certain posters. For today's video we are going to take a look at how I made the Antonio Rudiger Matchday poster that I posted on my Instagram during the Heroes. So before we start, just going to make you guys know that my Matchday poster PSD packs is going out in a few hours on my Patreon for a really reasonable price. So this pack is basically going to contain SDs that is going to help you elevate your Matchday posters and also your sports designs to a whole different level. So please do check it out. It's going to help beginners and even pro designers, and let me know if anything, right? I'll put a link in the description, so please check it out and purchase it if you're interested. Let's get right into the video. So for what we're going to do, this video is basically going to be the Antonio Rudiger Matchday poster. So this is the final result, right? It is basically a really nice Antonio Rudiger Matchday poster. So I'm going to take you guys through how I made this with the whole lighting effect and all that. So let's get started. So let me turn this off and let's start with the blank artboard, right? So from the back, the first thing that I basically did was find my pictures. So I had one picture, two pictures, and the last one is basically trying to find this picture, right? So I basically found my pictures and I decided to arrange them in this order. So we have medium, big, and small. In other ways, you could have done small, medium, and big, or any way that fits it. So now I have my pictures. So the next thing that I need to do is quite simple. Let me start with a small one. I basically added camera raw effect to that. So this is the before and the after, right? I basically made the white pure white. I think I made a video of explaining all these things, but I basically changed this and I made it white. I turned down all the greens. And I increased the oranges and add sharpen. And you can see the settings I used for that. I toned down the highlight as well, right? Just to give it a really nice feel. So that's basically the camera raw effect. And I use a similar thing for this as well. There's that for this. I think the hue for the orange was quite different, but it's basically the same idea. The same idea I use for this as well. So going in there, I reduced the highlights, the yellows. For this, I didn't increase it, but in other ways, I would have toned down the oranges, but it still works. And the same thing for the other one as well. I did the same thing for the other one as well, which is this. So now from there, let's start from this. I know you guys already should have an idea of what we're going to do. We're going to retouch it. So I basically added the hue and saturation for the eyes, right? So is this for the I did the hue and saturation for the eyes. Then what I did next was that I did a retouch, right? Which is the black, the how do I say it? The dark spot. Then I did this for the bright spot as well. And this glow is basically for this light behind it. For that light behind it, right? So like I said, I already have a video explaining how to do lighting as well. But since the lights, let me get my brush to just explain something quick. So since the light is behind, it is basically going to affect just these parts, right? Just these parts of the body, because the light is behind it. Cool. So for this as well, there's a light source below, which you will see once we get there. And I brighten the eyes as well. So the next thing is let's do the small one. I did hue and saturation. I think I cleaned up some parts. You could see this part, right? Made it white. I added the levels for the dark part. I added the brightness for the bright part. It's just the normal retouching method that I do, right? And I added the levels. The reason why I added the levels is because there is a light source coming from behind, or I think from the bottom. Let's take a look. So there's a light source coming from behind, okay, from in front, which is the lighting, right? So it's going to cast the lightning or the light on the body. It means you have to basically have a darker object, which will allow you to paint the highlight there. So from where am I? Yeah, so the levels for the darker part, and I basically cleaned this part where there's going to be light, and I did the highlights, right? So before I show the highlights, let me add the lightning. So for the lightning is basically this, right? Basically this, and I put it on screen, right? And I did puppet to warp it around the person, and after that I basically erased, you can see I basically erased the unwanted part that I didn't want. So, and I added another one here to basically continue the line, and it's basically the same, but this was a difference. I had to change the color to match it, and from there I basically did the lightning, right? So the lightning is, so the light is coming from here, so it's going to hit the shirt, and it's going to also be on the ball. So basically anywhere you feel the light is going to hit, right? So I basically try to make this as realistic as possible. So that is for the Antonio Rudiger one. And I basically added a final glow. I basically put it on linear dodge, and I picked the color in this soft brush with a low flow. I clicked on it. Then let's get to this Rudiger one. The same retouching method I used, which I'll put the link out as a card so you can check it out. And I just did just a tiny bit of highlight from the lights, right? So these are basically the main pictures. So now let's start with the background. Then I added, I think this is the city, Germany city, I think so. And I added a rectangle with the Germany colors as basically the gradient. And I added a Matchday font behind it. So if I double click on this, you can see it's Matchday, and I basically added it behind, and I put it on overlay. So if I do it normal, I put it on overlay, and I reduce the opacity. So that's for the background, right? So for the background. And now for the stadium. So I basically picked this is a stadium in Germany. So this is a stadium that I used. Let me show you the original one. This is the stadium that I used. So what I did was I basically cut the sky out, right? And the way to do this is you go to select and you go to sky. It's going to do a really good job. And from there I have the stadium. So from there I basically add the levels, because there's a light source, and when there's a light source you need to make it dark so you can paint the light on there. So that's basically the stadium that I use. Pretty really good stadium. And the effect that I did was basically to blur effect, which I'm going to show you guys. So what I did was I duplicated the Antonio Rudiger picture, and I used the path blur on it, and I chose the direction of the path blur, and you can see if I change this, you see the direction of the path blur, right? It's really simple. You duplicate the picture, then so let me I think you're going to get it if I do it. So this is the picture, right? I do Control J, I duplicate it. Let me just convert this into a smart object. Then I come and I go to blur and I go to what? Path blur. Then you could see from the effect I should have turned the other one off, but you could still see it. Then you see, so if I turn it here, you see the effect. If I increase the speed, you see the effect it's having. Right? If I increase the taper, so it's an effect you could play around on. It basically gives a sense of motion. Then once I was done, I just erased the part I didn't want. Right? I didn't want it to be on I wanted it to come from just one side. So you can see I basically erased from the left side so that it will only appear on the right side. So that's basically for these pictures. And so let's continue. Then I added a ball and added a motion blur. Let me show you the motion blur. I did 10, angle 10, distance 41. Then Gaussian blur 6. Right, I did Gaussian blur 6. Then I added highlight from the lightning and basically made it dark. Right, so that's it for the ball. Then I added smoke. So I added a smoke. So this is added a smoke, right? So the smoke, and the next thing I did was the next thing is basically adding the logos, and the Matchday, basically the Matchday stuff, right? And basically that, then the final one. So what I normally like to do is I like to merge all the layers together. So I do Shift Control Alt E, and you're going to merge everything together. Then you can convert to a smart object. Then you can apply the final camera raw. So this is the final one. So let me show you the final camera raw that I used. I basically try to make the colors pop a bit more. So what I did was I increased the highlighter because for the final ones I always want to make sure that it's visible and as bright as possible. And I reduced the shadow, and I basically kept the rest the same, right? Just a little movement, but not really that much. And I increased the clarity and added grain. And like I said, for the final ones, I basically increased the saturation just a bit more, just to give it that extra bit of color. And I don't know, this is basically what I did. And in working, I did a bit of color grading, which you could see here. So if I turn off the color grading, you can see the before and after. I added a bit more of the red that we have from the lightning, right? And I did sharpening, and yeah, that's basically the final thing I did. And one last thing that I did to basically add a bit of depth was the blur gallery. So I basically added it's loading, but I basically added, this is the filled blur, right? I put one on top here on 0 blur, so that the top becomes clear, and I did the same for 0 blur, so that the middle becomes, so the focal point that I wanted to blur was the down part, so that you could see it looks like the boots and the ball are all blurred out, and it gives that sense of depth, and it's so cool. So I basically added a point down here. If I put it on 0, you can see, and I basically, you can see, added a blur. So this is too much, right? So I think it was around 9. Yeah, then you could just click OK, and it just gives you this effect, right? So basically this is basically how I was able to come up with this Antonio Rudiger Matchday poster, right? And if you guys enjoy this series where I break down how I make certain posters, just put in the comment section the poster you would like me to break down that I have done on my Instagram. Then we can go from there, right? So thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and also check out my Matchday PSD packs coming on my Patreon, right? And also subscribe to my Patreon. You can be a free member. I post some free PSDs there as well. or you can join my premium Patreon page where you have the chance to have 1v1s with me and also exclusive PSDs as well. Once again, thank you guys and see you guys in the next video.